week's Tutorial Tuesday. For all of you that are watching the replay, today we are going to be going over socials and multicasting. And for those of you joining us live, welcome to the broadcast. So, as I mentioned, today we're going to be going over socials and multicasting. I will be going over how to connect Twitter, Facebook, and Periscope. Those three for this week, and then we'll go over YouTube and Twitch another time, and also Instagram, because there's some things that are different there. But yeah, without further ado, I'll go ahead and start prepping the screen share. But hello, Jocelyn, for joining. Jason, woof woof from Portland, good seeing you. Hey Karen, good seeing you. Jason Wallace, thank you for the high award there. So let me get this screen share ready, and we will get right into showing how to connect all of your social media accounts. But to be clear, we are going to be going over specifically just Twitter, Facebook, and Periscope, and why those are important and what they mean. Joseline, sorry, thank you so much for that pronunciation there. I won't forget it. Hey, Nassim from Milan, good seeing you. Hey, Stephen from North Carolina. Helen from Edinburgh. And J Opera, how's it going? All right, so I'm in the side here, right? So you may not see my picture. That didn't do what I wanted it to do. Here we go. So I'm actually, I think we can leave it up like this so you all can see my face, and I'll be present during the broadcast while we're doing these connections here. So as I mentioned, we're going to be going over Twitter, Facebook, and Periscope. For two reasons, I wanted to just focus on these three platforms. One is because we have to kind of explain why Twitter and Periscope are so connected and why you kind of need one to have the other. And then Facebook, there are some specific instructions that we have to go over for groups, as we see here. And then also for the initial sign-up process to make sure that you all don't have any issues with comments and such. Hey, Brittany, good to see you. Welcome to Happs. Are you having an issue? I see Peter's responding to you. Just joined yesterday. Welcome. Good seeing you. Let's see. Am I missing a comment here? All right. Anyway, so here we go. What I strongly recommend for anyone when you go to actually link your socials for the first time is to make sure that you have those accounts open and logged in within the same Chrome window, right? So I have my Facebook here logged in, my Twitter here is logged in, and so is my Periscope here. So I'm logged into all of these accounts, and I'm ready to kind of launch them as needed. So first, I'm going to go ahead and explain what is the dealio with Twitter and Periscope. So right now, Twitter doesn't have their own API, meaning for Twitter Live, meaning that you can't actually be visibly live on Twitter and receive comments and have it views count from there. So in order to actually be live on Twitter, you still need to be live on Periscope, believe it or not. I think we are now, what is it, June? So it's been since April that Periscope has shut down, but yet it is still needed, as Twitter hasn't actually created that to go live directly there just yet. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and connect my Twitter account first, and then we'll move on from there. Oh no, is it because I've already done this once? No, perfect. Okay, cool. So the first screen that you're going to see is authorize Happs.tv to access your account. Peter, I don't think you're answering Alex's question. Instead, you're giving something that has it's like about website outages overnight, and he's asking about Android. Just a heads up there. So the first thing you have to do is authorize Happs as the app to have access to your Twitter account. And I know that can sound a little bit concerning, and what exactly does that mean for you? Well, for you, all that means is that we, as the Happs platform, allow you to send your broadcast to Twitter and receive comments. However, because we allow for that and to make a post on your behalf, right? So right now it kind of creates a post link that you can then click and go back to Happs, or if you're on desktop, you can actually watch from there, but you can't comment. But because we have to request, Peter, it was an Android. So you should be, Alex, you should be on the latest version of Android, and that should fix that problem. We were well aware of that bug, unfortunately, when it comes to Android flipping to landscape, and there was an update that was released that should fix that. If you're still experiencing that with the latest version, please let us know. All right, so back to the tutorial. What all of this looks like is a little scary, because it's essentially asking you, can you do all of these things on your behalf? Can Happs do all of that on your behalf? The reason for that is because Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all of those places have certain levels of security. And in order to write a tweet for you, we have to reach a certain level of security. And that certain level of security includes all of these other things. However, Happs does not have it in writing or have the ability to do any of this besides send your broadcast there. And I know one of the big ones that you all are probably looking at, for those of you specifically that have issues with moderation on external platforms, is, do you authorize the app to mute, block, and report accounts for you? Although that is included, it doesn't mean that you can, unfortunately. So just something that heads up there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and authorize app. It's going to redirect me back to Happs. Have you all been seeing what I'm sharing this whole time? I'm just realizing now that that might be. Let's do something different here. I'm going to stop the screen share for just a second and change it to my whole window. Yes, we see your socials page, but have you seen the whole go through Twitter process? Because if not, then we got a problem. Let's now look at my screensaver, and let's see. Yes, I'm just listening carefully. Okay, screen share might be frozen. Okay, so let me let's disconnect this and do that again. It was frozen, no movement. Yeah, no, it wasn't frozen. I made an oopsies. So connecting Twitter. So now you all can see this, right? So now you guys can see this, authorize Happs.tv to access your account. Cool, I think you can. I think earlier you weren't actually able to see that because it's popping up in a new window and I was only screen sharing a window. So lesson learned there. We learn and move forward. So here is what I was talking about, right? So when you go to first connect your Twitter account to Happs, you're going to be asked to authorize Happs. As I mentioned earlier, there are certain levels of security to allow us to the ability to send out the tweet for you. And once we reach that certain level of security, it then includes all of these scary things. But rest assured, we do not use any of that. We simply just send the Happs link or video for you on your behalf. So I'm going to go ahead and hit authorize app. This can take a little bit of time depending on your internet connection. So just keep an eye out for that. If it does take a little bit of time, just hold on. Don't stop the process. Don't close that window. And I'm sure that'll get resolved. Does that mean if one account gets hacked, they all get hacked? No, Harbor. So none of your passwords for these external social media platforms are saved on Happs. I repeat, none of your passwords for these external social media sites are saved on Happs. So you would not lose, you essentially not lose your passwords and all that information. All right, so next up, Facebook. So here's the big one. Facebook can take a little bit of time, and you have to be careful when doing this process because there's one specific question that Facebook asks you that can dictate whether or not you actually see comments or you don't see comments at all. So we're going to go ahead and start that process. As I've mentioned before, I have my Facebook profile up and logged in within the same Chrome window because I want to make sure that Chrome, when it pulls up this next screen, knows exactly which Facebook account I'm linking. So here we go, connect your Facebook. You're going to see instantly that it's going to point towards my Facebook account because I'm already logged in. If I wasn't logged in, don't worry, don't stress. It doesn't mean that you did something wrong. It's just going to mean that the first window that you see here is going to be the login page. So it's going to prompt you to log into your Facebook account before you move forward. Whereas if you already have your Facebook account logged in that window, you'll actually be prompted to this, right? So the first thing that you'll be asked is Happs is requesting access to your name and profile picture, videos, friends list, and timeline link. None of this is actually used besides your name. The reason why your name is used is because you can actually select either your personal Facebook, your page on Facebook if you have any, or a group on Facebook. So it takes all that information to kind of give you a list of things that you can broadcast to. One thing to note is that once we get to that list, you can actually select up to 10 destinations within Facebook. So that's something to know. So I'm going to say, okay, that's all good. Do not edit access here. The auto access that you are giving allows for Facebook multicasting to work. If you edit this or remove something or add something, it may cause the actual linking process to fail when you hit connect at the very end. So just something to keep in mind. All right, next up, this is the important step here. So you'll see here, Happs would like to post content to your timeline on your behalf. Who can see Happs posts on your timeline? If you have this set to friends only, this is the situation where you might not see comments coming in from Facebook onto your Happs broadcast. So make sure that you hit public on this. This will allow for all of those comments to appear on your Happs broadcast when you're trying to interact with everyone. The only thing is that with groups, you have to be aware of the fact that if the group is like private and closed, that might also cause issues with comments coming over to Happs. All right, so we're going to go ahead and hit OK there. And then finally, it's going to give you the list of groups that you're in. It's going to ask for access to your page. It's going to ask for post content in groups on your behalf, et cetera, et cetera. So all of this is to allow for us to send that broadcast to the 10 different Facebook destinations that you would like to select. So I'm going to say OK and hit continue. And then once I'm done with that and this process finishes, this may take some time again, it'll give me a list, right? So here is the list of all of it gives me my personal profile, it gives me pages that I manage, and then it also gives me groups that I'm in, that I'm an admin of, right? So what does that mean? That means that you have to follow these steps if you want to be able to go live to a group that you are an admin of. What are those steps? So from your newsfeed, click on groups in the left menu and select a group. If you don't see groups, click see more. Go to the settings of that group, scroll down and click add next to apps, and then click add apps. That is how you will then add Happs. You have to search for Happs in the add apps section, and then that'll allow you to add Happs as an app that has access to that group on Facebook. That makes sense? Cool. And then once you're all set there, you just simply select which of the pages that you want, right? So I can select my page, I can select a couple of other ones, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Select a group. All right. Cool. So now it's going to go ahead and process that again. And then when you're all set, it's going to give you a check mark. Boom. All done. There's still one more step, though. Once you've selected all of the places that you'd like this to multicast to, go ahead and hit refresh here. And then it'll give you that whole list. Right, so now here is the list of all of the places that you can send your broadcast to on Facebook. Again, you can select up to 10. I've only picked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. But let's say, well, it depends on what type of broadcast I'm doing that I want auto multicasting turned on. So I don't want it to be turned on for all of these pages except for my personal profile. So that is why I select that. So simple as that. The next thing is that you can choose which account is linked in your profile, right? So if I go to my profile, if I click on Facebook, this now goes to my Facebook profile as earlier. However, if I go back to my settings, I can actually make it so that that link goes to a page I manage or a group that I'm an admin of. So if you click on that selection menu, you can actually then pick what that goes to. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this because I don't really use Facebook anymore. And then that'll disconnect, give it a quick refresh, and then gone. So now let's talk about Periscope. This is going to be the last one that we go over before logging off here. Periscope is super easy and very similar to Twitter. Once you hit that connect button, again, make sure that you're logged in. You may be wondering, wait, how are you actually on Periscope? Because if you go here, if you just go to periscope.tv, you get this. Well, if you just go over here to the top button, you go to your profile, you can actually see your profile. So that's how I'm here. So this is how I know that I'm logged into my Periscope account and I'm ready to actually connect that account to my Happs. So I'm going to go ahead and hit connect your Periscope. Ooh, interesting. Of course you give me issues. Oh, right. Got it. Cool. All right, all done. So you just have to log in to Periscope even though you are already logged in. But as you can see there, if I just select Twitter, it automatically re-adds my account. So again, you're just going to be asked to authorize the app. Go ahead and hit that blue button, and you're all set. You're done. Give that a few minutes or seconds. But I can already see in the background that it's actually connected. So this is just mostly processing the graphics. So I'm going to go ahead and close that and see that this is already giving me the green arrow. One thing that you all will see on your end, if this is the first time you're connecting your Periscope, is about portrait. And it's going to give you until approved by the Periscope team, all portrait broadcasts will be shown on Periscope in landscape with black bars. Approval can take 2 to 7 days and will notify you when approved. This doesn't take that long anymore because according to the Periscope team, they've made that automatic. So no one from their team has to manually turn that on. But just something to keep in mind. I'm actually going to take a screenshot of that because I was not aware that that would come up again after it had already been approved. Alrighty, so that's that. Do we have any questions about Twitter, Periscope, or Facebook connectivity that we can go through before we go ahead and call it for this Tutorial Tuesday? Mike, what I'd like to see is the window you see in the studio of the broadcast being larger. I'm not sure what you mean. Helen, if you disconnect Periscope, can you reconnect it? Because my multicast doesn't work to Periscope. I've just not bothered you to try to reconnect it. Yeah, so you can go ahead and just disconnect it as I can do here. I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh so that you can see that that is now disconnected. Go ahead and hit connect. Again, authorize, and then give that a few seconds, and then that'll be added back on. There you go. No RTMP info yet, eh? No, so no RTMP in on Happs just yet. We still have custom destinations out though, so you can still send RTMP out, but no RTMP in. Can you use Happs in Twitter Spaces? No, so Twitter Spaces is not live video and also doesn't have a way to input into from an external platform. What is RTMP, if I may ask? Yeah, so essentially, Lenny, RTMP is like a extension cable, so to speak, right? So if I have an extension cord running from inside of my house to the outside, I can then power something that's on the outside. What RTMP does is exactly that. So if you have something external, like a camera or another streaming app or something like that, that you want to stream into Happs, you would need RTMP. So that would kind of be the way to explain that. You can also use drones, you can use GoPros, stuff like that that have that capability with RTMP. Same way, vice versa. That's exactly how we can also send things out via RTMP, is when a site has RTMP inputs. Cool. Any other questions before we go ahead and log off? You're very welcome. Hey, Sassanian, good seeing you. Hey, Helen. Also, Helen, one other thing that you can try while you're live, you can click on your multicasting destinations and actually turn them on and off individually if you need to. So if Periscope doesn't work the first time, go to your multicasting destinations, click that off, and then turn it right back on. Awesome. Cool. So thank you all so much for joining. Tomorrow we have an awesome takeover of this Happs account hosted by Bobby, and she will have a bunch of artists on. And so tune into that. It's already scheduled. So if you go to the Happs profile, you'll see the scheduled post for that for tomorrow. And then secondly, if you would like to pitch a takeover, Helen, if you'd like a photography takeover, or any other users would like a specific takeover, please send us an email, contact@happs.tv with the subject line Happs Takeover. We'll review that for you and let you know if that's possible. And we'll schedule that in. We'll let you take over from that point, get all of your guests situated. And on the day of, what we do is Peter and I will join that broadcast, say hello to everyone, pass the mic, and then let you all take over from there. So it's a really fun experience. You all get a lot of interactive comments that way, and a good way to promote yourselves if needed, right? So just make sure that it is a takeover collaboration, right? So it's not just about like, I'm just going to take over the Happs account because I want to. It could have a subject alongside it. I would strongly recommend checking out Deanna's Happs takeover from last week. That was a really great example to get us started on the first week of that new show. And then tune in tomorrow for Bobby Vickers' takeover. Yeah, I'd be happy to talk with you about photography, Helen, for that. Sounds good. Can we talk about your profile pic? Yeah, so that new profile picture was actually created by Milk Does Art, a user on Happs. He has a show that he does almost daily now. And for every 500 coins that he receives in an award, he'll add your name into a wheel, kind of like Jeopardy. He'll spin the wheel, and then he'll take a picture of yours, whether you send it in or if it's your profile picture on Happs, and make you into an elf. I had the fortunate pleasure of being turned into a elf/Spider-Man/vampire. So it went a little bit beyond just the elf, but it was a lot of fun to watch and to see that be created live. But with that being said, check out Milk Does Art. That's the username that you want to check out if you want to be alphafied. But with that being said, again, we'll see you all tomorrow and on Friday for the remaining broadcast of this week. Bye. Cheerio.